In the last chapter, we looked at saving money. In this chapter, we're going to look at borrowing money. So the first thing we're going to look at is simple interest. The amount of interest charged on a loan is determined by the principal or the amount borrowed and by the method used to calculate interest. For simple interest, the borrower pays only a fixed amount of interest for each period of the loan. So simple interest is interest that is paid on the original principal or the amount borrowed only, and not on any accumulated interest. So this is the same as simple interest for your savings account, but this time we're calculating interest on a loan. So if we have a principal P, which is the amount borrowed, and an annual rate of interest R, the interest on the loan that's going to be owed after T years is given by I is equal to P times R times T. So all of these formulas should look very familiar from the last chapter. And the total amount A that's due on the loan is going to be equal to P times 1 plus R times T. So let's do an example of simple interest on a loan. Suppose you take out a Stafford loan for $5,500 on September 1st, 2011 with a simple interest rate of 6.8%. You can pay the interest due each quarter and defer paying back the principal until 6 months after you graduate on December 1st, 2015. So you'll have had the loan for 51 months. For the first part of this, I want to figure out how much the quarterly interest on this loan is, so that's how much I'm going to have to pay, or you're going to have to pay each quarter while you're still in school. So let's look at that part first. So my formula for interest was I is equal to PRT. My principal, the total amount on this loan was $5,500. The interest rate, R, was 6.8%, so I'll put a couple zeros out here, 6.8%, and then I'm going to convert that to a decimal by moving the decimal 2 places to the left, so this is equal to 0.068 is my interest rate in decimal form. And then for T, I want to figure out the quarterly interest, so T is 1/4 of a year, or 0.25. So now I can just plug that in to figure out my quarterly interest. I is going to be equal to $5,500 times my interest rate, 0.068, times the amount of time, which is 1/4 of a year, or 0.25. So the quarterly interest on this loan is going to be $93.50. So that will be the interest payments you'll have to make while you're still in school. For the next part, how much total interest will you have paid over 51 months? So 51 months is the time where you're paying only the quarterly interest and you're not paying any of the principal on the loan. So first we have to figure out how many quarters 51 months is. So 51 months is 51 divided by 3, there are 3 months in a quarter, is 17 quarters. And we said that the quarterly interest rate that we're paying is, our quarterly interest payment is $93.50. So the total interest that you'll have paid over the 51 months is going to be equal to 17 times $93.50 So that's going to be $1,589.50 is the amount of interest you'll have paid while you're just paying interest on the loan. Finally, how much will you owe when you start to pay back the loan? So you start to pay back the loan, you still owe the original principal. You've paid off all your interest up to this point. So you've still got your principal left is what you owe, and that is $5,500. If you hadn't paid any interest as you went along, so if no interest was paid, you would owe the principal $5,500 plus the accumulated interest, which we just calculated in the last part was $1,589.50. So that would be $7,089.50. So you've reduced the amount you still owe on the loan by paying off the interest while you're still in school. So this is a short section, so that finishes it up. Things you should know for this section: you should be able to calculate simple interest given the principal and interest rate, and know that simple interest is paid on just the principal of a loan.